Drove through a creepy wooded campground, camped at a cold, windy beach, and arrived to a closed BLM site after a very long drive. Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Wandering Ananda, and this is the story of my journey car camping with my cat in one of the smallest SUVs ever made, a 2000 Toyota RAV4, which is smaller than the newer model. A very long drive landed me in San Simeon Creek Campground in Cambria, California, just south of Big Sur, right near San Simeon. But let me back up a bit. 7:30 a.m. and headed for Cerro Alto Campground near Atascadero, California, where the only open sites, the first come first serve sites, were more like a parking lot with a restroom. In retrospect, I could have made it work, but it would not have been private or practical. In a pinch it will do, but I wasn't feeling that desperate yet. The other sites were booked even though it was a Thursday and there was no cell service. The whole vibe of the camp was a little weird. Maybe it was the low branches that made it feel closed in. Maybe it was just a vibe I didn't respond to well at the time, or it could have been someone in the park. Has anyone else camped there or somewhere else that had a weird vibe? Let us know in the comments. After that, I drove back down to where there was a cell service, but everything I checked was booked since it was the weekend. I took a chance and decided to move on to the next spot on my itinerary. Thankfully, San Simeon Creek has non-reservable tent sites. I wasn't feeling rested, so I only peeked at the ocean for the first time in years, which was a short walk away. Trash pickup was 7:30 Saturday morning, right near me, so I was thankfully already awake and sufficiently caffeinated. Even though it was Memorial Day weekend, I decided to drive through Big Sur to my next site so I could spend the weekend on BLM land. It was the longest planned drive to date, so I hope my cat behaved. I was anxious for the drive through Big Sur because of a childhood memory of driving down the coast in the opposite direction, and I was worried that my cat might not stay put in her safe spot. It was time to feed my cat, so I was still in the mindset of getting to camp ASAP. So I did enjoy a leisurely drive through Big Sur, but like I said, I didn't stop to take any pictures. Unfortunately, when I got to the Fort Ord BLM land, I was met with a closed road and no camping, no trespassing signs. I called the BLM office, who said that camping at national monuments has never been permitted, so anyone who has done so was doing it illicitly. I drove further north up the coast because it was too hot inland. I scoped potential sites to camp along the highway, but I'm not fully contained, so stealth camping is out of the realm of possibility for me, especially with having to remove stuff from my car to make room to sleep. If something wasn't available, as a very last resort, and in my very tired state, I would scout a spot in Davenport once I had cell service. But I was really super tired, and I didn't want to have to make any decisions at that point. So I remained hopeful about finding a site in Half Moon Bay, and thankfully I scored the last tent site. There was also one hookup site available, and at that point I would have paid the extra money for it. The site at Half Moon Bay was not ideal, but I was extremely thankful to have a space for the night, and since it was Memorial Day weekend, I paid for 2 nights. Fortunately, I had cell service, so I was able to plan ahead and also stream videos to mask the noise all around me. It was a very active Memorial Day weekend, which is why I wanted to be on BLM land. It was the most active campground I had ever been to. People were playing all around my car and campsite, which was quite open except for one large tree that shaded my car most of the time. It was cold, so I didn't need the shade, but the windows closed, which buffered some of the noise, and I was busy planning most of the time. But when it got too much, at one point I walked to the ocean, which settled my nerves down, and that was the first time in years I felt the calm of the ocean ground my energy. Because when I had gone to the ocean at San Simeon Creek, I was actually quite a ways away from it and too tired to walk up to it. Back at camp, I thought about going to Davenport BLM the next night since it was free, but it was super windy and cold and it didn't have cell service. After a lot of research, it seemed more viable to head back down the coast rather than through San Francisco on Memorial Day sites during the holiday week. I was fine with backtracking a bit because I wanted to spend more time on the Central Coast and South Bay area, which I basically drove through in one day. After resupplying in Santa Cruz, I headed toward a different BLM site past Pinnacles National Park, which was flooded at the entrance pretty bad. So I had to turn around, and it was already a long drive, and with nowhere to camp and a very busy weekend, I decided to check out Pinnacles National Park, which online listed no availability, but since I had to pass it anyway, I thought I would at least check it out and see if there was a place for me to stealth camp. I don't make very good snap decisions when I'm exhausted and stressed, so tune in next time to find out what happened next. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to follow me on this journey into the desert and beyond as I drive up the coast of California in my tiny SUV.